I'm going to start with this, you know.
You're on. Is it time? Is it 11?
Do we got everybody on the diaspora? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Sent an invitation for me to join that group because that was what I thought I would probably like to put my energy behind, and to be another person who's not community minister or staff person on that group sounds like it's a good thing.
I'd say. I thought the group was good.
So good to see you.
You ready to go? Let's do it.
I mean, I'm like, am I...
You never know here.
I mean, it's true.
All set?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm moving this along.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff, yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's so wonderful to see you all rolling in here. Welcome to Agape Sunday at Judson Memorial Church. Thank you for being a place where I can land again after being gone for 2 weeks. I feel like I have been away forever, and it's so wonderful to see faces that I recognize, so wonderful to hear the hum of Agape happening where it takes like an extra 90 seconds to get everybody settled for a good old serious service. If we have not met, or you could use the reminder, my name is Micah, my pronouns are he and they, and I get to serve as the senior minister here at Judson. But I want us to start off with a round of applause for Reverend Bridget, who held down Judson while I was away. And of course, all of you did the same. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It is so wonderful to see you. We have a packed service here today because it is Transfiguration Sunday. It is the first Sunday of Women's History Month. It is Agape Sunday, so buckle in. It is going to be a ride. But I want us to do 2 things before we dive headfirst into this service. And that is first to turn to that camera right there if you're here in the space and wave hello to the Judson diaspora. Hello, everybody. It's so wonderful to know that your spirits are here in this space. And a reminder to all of you, if you want to eat and drink during this service, eat and drink during it. You are probably in your pajamas. You're probably snugger than most of us as we were making our way to this building. So enjoy yourself and be sure to save something to eat and drink so that you can participate in communion later on. For all of you who are live in this space, a reminder, or if you're brand new here, some new information. If you fear that you have entered this space and there's some strange cultic ritual happening, you're right. It is a beautiful thing that we call agape, but it also is kind of like something that you might have heard about called communion. But here at Judson, this table is open to you, no matter who you are, wherever you've been, wherever you're coming from, but also any time during this next hour. So do not wait for the communion moment. As you see people doing around you, feel free to grab a grape, grab a piece of bread, drink something if you would like. The purple liquid is wine. The yellow liquid is juice. You will not offend anyone if you eat and drink during this service. In fact, you will bring us great joy if you eat and drink during this service, and then get ready for the communion moment later on in the service. And now, I invite you into a moment of solemnity and commitment as we acknowledge the first peoples of this land. Judson's physical space stands on the ancestral land of the Lenape people. Judson's community acknowledges the Lenape community, their elders both past and present, as well as future generations, and we make this acknowledgement as only one part of our continuing work to dismantle the ongoing legacies and lies of Christian supremacy, settler colonialism, and white supremacy. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Agape table. Henco, take it away. All right, would you please rise in body and or spirit? As I mentioned, but I know some folks came in after my welcome, today is a Bafo Sako service, so get ready. We are celebrating Transfiguration Sunday, and with all of the hot mess that is happening in this country and happening in this world, today we are leaning into the trans of Transfiguration, so get ready. We are also commemorating Women's History Month. So you see behind me a beautiful sculpture. You're gonna get some context for that soon. Get ready, and also it's agape, and you're gonna get to sing your hearts out in 1 second. But we're all coming from a lot of different places and probably have a lot of weight on our shoulders right now. So if you feel safe in the space, go ahead and close your eyes for a moment and listen to the hum of community right here. And take a deep breath in and let it out. Another deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. And I'm going to read our invocation, but if you could benefit from hearing these words and feeling them in your mouth, go ahead and read along with me. This is a praise hymn for my pronouns. I sing the body eclectic, electrified by the embrace of my own ownership. I am my own creator and creation, imagination erupting to disrupt my old me, winding out to find out who I will be. There are tiny ones watching, witnessing the ways in which we either invent or prevent liberation. I cry to them, I am he, she, they, it, ze, zir, non, and none, reshaped, respun. Words are never the entire story, but they are the thresholds to new molds. Don't be told who you are. Let bold new tales unfold. Fearfully and wonderfully, we are remade every time we transcend the push to pretend. Divinity ratcheted to infinity, salt and light, bright and tasty, if we will get out of, illumine, and flavor the way. I sing a song I must relearn each day. Be the one you needed before the world proceeded to break and box you. Belong to yourself and family will find you. Stretch your soul to hold the holy parts that make you whole. Then rise above all that can be named or tamed and become the kingdom come. Every freed part a fresh start. Every inch that was once shamed, claimed. Every I, the why, showing the way to we. Amen. Now raise the roof off this place with an old classic. Come on.
Amen. Good morning, Judson. Good morning. I am Reverend Bridget. I'm your resident minister of arts and worship. My pronouns are she and her. In the Black church, sometimes the senior minister is given a lot of titles: shepherd, captain of the ship of Zion. Sometimes they're also called the angel of the house. It is so good to have the angel of the house back. I feel like that's an appropriate term for you, Reverend Micah. Our ancient testimony this morning is from the Gospel according to Mark, 9th chapter, 2nd to the 8th verses from the Inclusive Bible. Jesus took Peter and James and John and led them up a high mountain where they could be alone. And there Jesus was transfigured before their eyes. The clothes Jesus wore became dazzling white, whiter than any earthly bleach could make them. Elijah appeared to them, as did Moses, and the two were talking with Jesus. Then Peter spoke to Jesus. "Rabbi," he said, "how wonderful it is for us to be here. Let us make 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." Peter did not know what he was saying, so overcome were they all with awe. Then a cloud formed, overshadowing them, and there came a voice from out of the cloud. "This is my beloved, my own. Listen to this one." Then suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them anymore, only Jesus.
Good morning. I'm Hannah. Pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to be reading our second ancient testimony from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Peter said to Mary, "Sister, we know that the teacher loved you differently from other women. Tell us whatever you remember of any words he told you which we have not yet heard." Mary said to them, "I will now speak to you of that which has not been given to you to hear. I had a vision of the teacher, and I said to him, 'Lord, I see you now in this vision.' And he answered, 'You are blessed, for the sight of me does not disturb you. There, where is the noose lies the treasure.' Then I said to him, 'Lord, when someone meets you in a moment of vision, is it through the soul, psyche, that they see, or is it through the spirit, pneuma?' The teacher answered, 'It is neither through the soul nor the spirit, but the noose between the two, which sees the vision, and it is this which..."
That was some drama. Nice. All right. A blessing in this congregation that comes continuously is that we have gorgeous, gorgeous artists in this congregation all over the place. I want to point out that Hannah, who just read the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, also is the collage artist who did our bulletin cover today. So thank you, Hannah. And also, it is my honor to know that there are some artists who do things here on other days of the week, but kind of want to be here on Sundays sometimes when we invite them and it feels appropriate to the service. So in a moment, you're actually going to hear 2 amazing artists from this city, but who have also been Judson Arts artists, and that's Lisa Stephen Friday and Adam J. Rineer. So they'll come up momentarily, but before that, to give us some context for this glory, it's the first time that I've ever seen something that looks like a crucifix in Judson, right? So you might be wondering, I'm going to invite up our amazing Judson board member, Alexis Ray Manjit, and her friend Cece King to talk about what this piece is. So come on up, folks.
Good morning, Judson. Before I let Cece describe the piece and what it means to her, I want to give a little bit of background. So, Cece and I met fairly recently, and one of our first real times hanging out, we went to dinner and we somehow got to the topic of feminism, which is near and dear to my heart. And through that conversation, Cece brought up this lovely sculpture, which she made, and she made it for a school project. It had gotten broken down, and it was just kind of in the trash. And she showed me what the sculpture had been. It had been displayed in a church. And she basically just, look at this thing I did. And I said, oh my gosh, are you like interested in putting this back together and showing it somewhere? I would love to show this piece. And I think I have the perfect place to do it, and I think that perfect place would be Judson. And, you know, this was pre-election as well, and so we were just kind of thinking on it. Maybe we'll bring it to Judson, and it's here. Cece got the sculpture from New Hampshire, put it back together, took a little bit of the rust off, and she's here in all of her glory. And I think, you know, talking about this sculpture opened up a conversation amongst ourselves about different forms of birth control we had been on and how it affected us in positive and negative ways. And I hope that having the sculpture in this space can open up a conversation about lots of different things, but really how we are currently living under an administration that is adamant about attacking and erasing bodies that are not able-bodied, cis, straight white men. And I hope that this helps to ignite that conversation. So Cece, we'll talk a little bit about it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cece King. I am more of a filmmaker, but I made this, as Alexis mentioned, as an undergrad. I use she, her pronouns. And before launching into this, I want to say thank you to Alexis and to Micah and to Judson. I grew up coming here translating I-589 forms with my mom at the Asylum Legal Clinic. So shout out to everything Judson does and continues to do for the broader community. So IU Diva, the name of this piece, is a steel welded object. It comprises more than 100 feet of steel cable that was painstakingly wrapped around two other steel bars, and it's industrial stainless steel. So this piece came from feeling like a perpetual science experiment on hormonal birth control, and I wanted to offer my interpretation today of this piece, but it also just deserves to stand alone, so I invite all of you to think about any associations that you might have that I don't mention, which are all things I'd love to talk about and hear afterwards. It is inspired by the true form of an IUD and how it mirrors the traditional architecture of churches, of crucifixes, and that's when I started to develop the piece as something a bit more theoretical. And it's really for anyone whose body has been manipulated or legislated on. So, IU Diva melds corporeal, medical, and religious iconographies to open a paradoxical dialogue about pleasure and suffering, equality and sacrifice, agency and control. And by conflating the contradictory associations of an IUD, freedom and pain, with a crucifix's resonances of consecrated anguish, this piece elevates the maligned female experience or the maligned experience of anyone whose body has been manipulated or legislated on. And, you know, this uterine architecture, it's the experience of walking into Judson today, of any church, and facing this mirrors the actual and literal insertion process of an IUD. And so as you walk down the canal between these, the pews of a church, or in this case, the tables, the crucifix, it appears as a crucifix until you take a closer look and realize what it actually is. And so that is a ritualistic but sort of mundane procession, and which collapses the space between the sacred experience of entering a body and the unceremonious, very impersonal, often painful nature of routine medical procedures. So the IUD is a widely used form of birth control, and this term, birth control, emphasizes regulating the uterus rather than facilitating pleasure or comfort, but it also does afford a level of freedom and safety, and this piece challenges or seeks to challenge the traditional notions of reproductive freedom, focusing instead on how birth control emerges from a medical industrial complex that has historically overlooked, harmed, manipulated bodies that don't fit in the normative cisgender male standard. And like our bodies, this piece is not immune to change, stress, decay. It has some rust on it that I removed part of, but it has been changing and decaying over time, which has followed the timeline of the current presidency and reflects the stress that many of us are under right now. And you know, the edges, it's sharp, it's intimidating, it's not pretty in a traditional sense, but it's also an invitation to reconsider what is sacrificed in pursuit of autonomy. And at the end of the service, and I will remind everyone during celebrations and concerns, I will invite you all to participate in the collective performance aspect of the piece, which is to pose in front of it in any way that makes you feel empowered to sort of reclaim what has been taken in different ways throughout your lives, publicly and proudly. And so I have a friend, a really wonderful photographer here, who will be taking photos of anyone who's comfortable if you want to participate in what's going to be a continued performance and celebration in different venues. And I'm very grateful to Alexis for reviving this piece, for encouraging me to take it out of the trash. And I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you.
One day I'll grow up, be a beautiful woman. One day I'll grow up, be a beautiful girl. One day I'll grow up, be a beautiful woman. One day I'll grow up, be a beautiful girl. But for today, I am a child. For today I am a boy. For today I am a child. For today I am a boy. One day I'll grow up, feel the power in me. One day I'll grow up, for this I'm sure. One day I'll grow up, feel the womb within me. One day I'll grow up, feel it free and pure. But for today, I am a child. For today, I am a boy. For today, I am a child. For today I am a boy. For today I am a child. For today I am a boy. For today I am a child. For today I am a boy. For today I am a child. For today I am a boy.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, Adam. You will hear more from them soon. Thank you so much, Cece. Thank you, Alexis. It is so wonderful to be back. Would you pray with me? May I say what I need to say, and may you hear what you need to hear. Amen. So, I am still pretty jet lagged, but I want you to go on a little trip with me right now. A little trip that'll just take a little bit, but I want you to go back in time with me to 2 snapshots of my own history. Snapshot number 1, travel with me back in time to the mid-'80s, Northeast Ohio, morning. I'm 4 years old. I'm sitting on the counter in my mother's bathroom, watching her apply makeup to her face. As my legs dangle over the edge and I stay still and fixated, my mother moves from foundation to blush to lipstick to mascara. Mascara application is my favorite part because I love thick, long eyelashes. This practice of witnessing my mother's transformation, her transfiguration from whoever she is when she rests in private to whoever she needs to be when she leaves the house, that happens every morning. I have been watching her transfigure herself in the mirror every morning for as long as I can remember. But this morning, after she applies the black mascara goop to her eyelashes, my mother turns to me, and out of the blue, she says, "I love my little boy." And without missing a single beat, as if the words have been desperately waiting to erupt from my little lips, I ask her, "Do you love your little girl too?" Now, I am my mother's only child. I'm a son, a boy who is already bullied daily at preschool for being soft and kind and creative and much more interested in dolls and dresses than in trucks and tag. I know that this is a risk. I don't even know that I know what I actually mean by asking the question, "Do you love your little girl too?" But I know that I am asking about myself. A self that is seeking loving validation. And this could have gone very, very wrong. But my mother, without missing a beat, as if the words have been stirring inside her for ages, ready to be breathed directly from her heart into mine, simply answers, "I love my little boy, and I love my little girl." And it's as simple as that. My mother receives my queer query as if it is an utterly acceptable and even more importantly, utterly normal question. She greets her child's active and imaginative and creative balancing of the masculine and the feminine within themselves with love and curiosity and support. And I trust that you don't need me to tell you that this moment changed my life. It steered my life. It directed my life. It even saved my life. And I know that I am extremely lucky. The bullying at school continued for years, but I knew that I had my mother's love behind whoever I was and whoever I would become. The moment was queered because I was queered, because my mother was queered, and therefore our lives were forever queered. Now, snapshot number 2. Fast forward with me to 2012, whiplash, right? But 2012, New York City, Burke Library, inside Union Theological Seminary. Who knows Burke Library? Okay, you've been in there. Among the must and the dust, I'm sitting at a table surrounded by books. I am researching my final paper for Church History 101, which covers the decades immediately following the founding of the Christian church up to the Middle Ages. I have decided to focus this final paper on the development of anti-sodomy laws over the course of Christianity's first few centuries. I Don't tell me why. That's basically Christianity's ornery adolescence. It's a frustrating exercise. In my opinion, there's not nearly enough written and available that holds the church's history accountable to its violence against queer bodies and affirms how integral queer people have always been to the church's thriving. But then my eyes land on a few short paragraphs in a random book, and I read about one of the first sexual laws laid down in the church, way, way back in the day. And though I shouldn't be surprised that such a law exists, my mind is blown by the connections it reveals for me. You see, this law has been set down in order to govern how to deal with and punish two men who are found fornicating with one another. But there's a terrifying twist that blows my mind, because this law goes so far as to differentiate between the two guilty parties. Party one, the penetrator, the man, the one who has to use his phallus, this party is not punished. He's set free. He's okay. He's okay to go back into society and penetrate himself right back into normal day life. But party two, the receptive party, the person who has deigned to become like a woman, in this act, the one who has opened himself and allowed himself to become something lesser than a man, lesser than a penetrator, well, this unfortunate soul is to be put to death. Never again able to embarrass himself by deigning and denying his sacred masculinity. The penetrator goes back to his life, and the weak one gets executed. This kind of brutish, bullying, clinging to the idea of manly strength would be laughable if it weren't so deadly and so terrifying. And in this moment of reading about this law, even though the connection should have always been clear, something clicks in my mind like never before. This law, though of course horrific on all levels, also reveals a very important fact. Homophobia and transphobia are rooted in fear, hatred, and violence against women. And more broadly, against the sacred feminine that is inherent in all of us, embraced by some of us, but violently denied and oppressed by many of us, including many of us in this country right now. Seeing this history and this connection so starkly outlined in front of me changes my life. The moment was queered, and I was further queered, now even better understanding the lineage from which my own gender fluidity and exploration springs. And I am focusing on these two snapshots today for two reasons. First, because both of these moments have contributed fiercely to my becoming the queer person of radical hope that I am today. And second, with the anti-woman, anti-queer, anti-trans, anti-drag rhetoric, erasure, violence, and legislation that is currently exploding in our country, it is imperative that we see, name, and decry the anti-fem fear and hate that connects all of it. The ACLU is currently tracking over 450 anti-LGBTQ bills across the United States. Iowa just became the first state in our country's history to actually roll back and strip away recognized civil rights for trans folks. We have queer kids dying by suicide on the regular, and a presidential administration using its platform to attempt the eradication of trans reality from public life, which we all know is actually attempting the eradication of actual, living, breathing human beings. Reproductive rights have been stripped away completely in 12 states. And the hostile threat against anyone with a womb is still sweeping through several other states, and these things are all connected. I hear it in circles. Will we be distracted from this fight when we focus on this fight? Do not be pulled into that. Do not be pulled into wondering if fighting for human beings who are breathing and living is worth it. It is their goal to keep us divided and thinking that all of these things are not all connected. The violent penetration of patriarchy has always feared the expansive, expanding power of the sacred feminine, because the sacred feminine is the life-giving font that flows through all of us if we will let it. And it assures us that there is far more non-binary power available to us than empire wants to allow. It meets the violent, individualistic, war-obsessed terror of patriarchy with life and joy and expansive, creative possibility. I mean, you saw what happened in the Oval Office this past week, right? That's patriarchal bullying empire at its most scripted and scared. And to be clear, my argument here is not anti-man. It is anti-patriarchy. Men, come on in. The sacred feminine is not about matriarchal power grabs. It's about equity and expansion beyond our deadly dualistic binary brutishness. That's what makes the sacred feminine so dangerous to the entire patriarchal Christian nationalist platform. But it's always been this way. And patriarchal Christian nationalism is not Christianity. So thank Goddess for the magic of Transfiguration Sunday. In our liturgical calendar, Transfiguration Sunday, or Jesus' Magic Day if you're nasty, has always been a day to focus on this mountaintop tale of transfiguration, which is a magical one. Whether it actually happened or not. Lean into the truths of the myths. Use the story well. It's here on this mountaintop that Jesus comes out, where he reveals to his friends what it actually means to find the non-binary breath between being fully embodied human and fully embodied, powerful, divine being. There are more details here for another sermon, and I will give those sermons. But for today, hear this main thesis. Jesus is both, firmly rooted on this historical human plane, and Jesus is drawing us nearer to understanding the sacred divinity within us all, a reality that transcends the horrifying human mess that patriarchal empire creates. Jesus is embodying the dynamic balance between two realms, the present and the possible. Jesus is non-binary. Jesus is trans. And Jesus isn't saying this dynamic balance is only for me, so please worship me. Jesus is saying this power is open and available to us all, to you men as well. Jesus is saying this power is open and available to us all, so model the image of God that you wish to see in the world. And go from there. And if you need more expansive evidence, let's move on to our second ancient testimony, okay? Thank you, Hannah, for reading it so beautifully and giving us that drama at the end. We will get to that in a moment. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. This is what's called a Gnostic text. To put more plainly, this is a piece of scripture that basically got scrapped when the patriarchs were actively reshaping the radically peaceful faith of the Jesus followers into becoming the violent empire patriarchal religion of Christianity. If you're wondering why you've never heard of anything called the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, rest assured that it's because men in power didn't want you to ever see or even hear about it. Fun, right? And if you have any experience with the Gospels that did make it into our Christian canon, you know the Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of Matthew, the Gospel of Luke, the Gospel of John, great books. You've probably already noted that the tone of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is very different from those other four far more famous accounts. If you hear me throwing this word Gnostic around and you could use a reminder of its meaning, the term Gnostic means knowledge, and specifically spiritual knowledge, and specifically spiritual knowledge that they don't want you to know. So calling something a Gnostic text means that it's a text specifically dedicated to helping its readers gain spiritual knowledge for themselves. Like many other Gnostic texts that were lost and buried throughout history, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is far less focused on proving who Jesus was by recreating narrative accounts of his life, and far more interested in offering guidance to help spiritual seekers to gain knowledge and wisdom and confidence in their own vision. And since we don't have time for a huge deep dive into all the nooks and crannies of this text today, I want to give you some Cliff's Notes that I hope will inspire your own Gnostic needling. 3 points. 1, in this text, Peter, who somehow is always confused, but still is the one that seems to be the major one that everybody trusts. Have no idea how that would happen. Peter, who is so often counted as one of the most important of Jesus' disciples, he defers to Mary. Did you see that? He defers to Mary Magdalene, a woman asking her for knowledge that he needs and does not have. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what Christianity in general could have been if frightened men hadn't taken over and silenced texts like this one? 2, Mary Magdalene speaks with utter confidence about what she has seen. There's no hemming and hawing and asking what the men think. This woman knows what she saw. And she needs no masculine intermediary to interpret for her. So you go, girl. 3, look back at the Mary Magdalene text. I want to hear the wrinkling. Look back at the text. We have 3 Greek terms here that give us the key to Mary Magdalene's message. You've got the word psyche, which is basically the physical human soul. You've got the word pneuma, which is basically the breath of the divine. And you've got the word nous, which is basically the eye of the heart, as opposed to physical human eyes. Basically, the thesis here is that there is an in-between space, a both-and space, a liminality between the physical human experience and the divine realm, between the present and the possible, an in-between space where a person can encounter and connect with both the God within them and the God beyond them and shape a vision beyond what is immediately apparent. It is through this nous, through this eye of the heart, that new visions are conjured, nurtured, and embodied. It's through an in-between space. What? Christianity is non-binary. Christianity is trans. And then, as if this weren't wild enough, the text stops mid-sentence and we lose the next 4 pages. It's like exegetical blue balls. And we could mourn the fact that the text stops mid-thought. I see that cut-off text as something akin to the silence and dismissal and erasure that so many endangered people feel when the dominant narrative decides that they just aren't worth the solidarity, that they just aren't worth you focusing on that fight as well. But what if we looked at that opening in that sentence as the place where we come out? The invitation to come out. The invitation, the place where we step into our full humanity and embody our divine power and finish the thought together. What's your answer to the end of that sentence? That sentence that says, it is neither through the soul nor the spirit, but the nous between the two which sees the vision, and it is this which sets us free. Okay, we have an intrepid person here. Because we got to answer that. You know who wants to fill in that space? The bullies. The bullies want to step in and tell you exactly what the answer is. The bullies, as they're doing in so many corners right now, the bullies will fill that space with fear and scarcity and violence and erasure and death. But I have been dealing with bullies all my life. Have you been dealing with bullies all your life? I bet some or most of you have been dealing with bullies all your life. And you know what bullies actually don't have that we have? Joy, love, hope, creativity, imagination, life. Bullies may wound us, but we have all the tools we need to keep opening this world up to the generative genius bubbling inside all of us. Joy, love, hope, creativity, imagination, life. In a world where patriarchal Christian nationalism is flexing its bullying muscles, devoting your attention to embodying joy and love and hope and creativity and imagination and life are actually seen as signs of weakness. But here's your hopeful snapshot for today. We don't actually have to live in that world. They're waiting for us to be the joy that we wish to see in the world. So don't give up. We have too much work to do to get bogged down by the last gasps of bullying patriarchal Christian nationalism. Don't let their gasps steal your breath. There are actual, extremely concrete ways that we can be saving ourselves and one another right now. People are already doing it. Our trans and gender nonconforming siblings are the human and divine models for transcending the boundaries of bullying. And no matter where you fall on the spectrum, we all need to come out. Through loud action, through pronoun sharing as a spiritual practice, through pronoun sharing as a spiritual practice, through actual embodied solidarity. We need to actually name the intersectionalities of all of our struggles and stop asking if certain issues are distractions from other issues. What is happening to trans and gender nonconforming people right now is happening to all of us. What is happening to trans people and gender nonconforming people right now is happening to all of us. You might not feel it right now, but they are the gorgeous canaries. They are the gorgeous canaries who are singing the song and showing us, A, what it can look like to actually come out and live as your fullest self, and also the very real dangers that are coming all of our ways. But we have concrete ways, and trans and gender nonconforming folks are showing us those ways every single day. So come out as the curious, bully-busting being that you were born to be. And if you, like me, could use another reminder, we are lucky to have amazing divine power amongst us. So Lisa Stephen Friday, Adam J. Rineer, come on up here. I always need somebody to come to the front to shut me up. Please, please, please give us a musical kick in the butt.
Reveal what has slumbered inside you. Reveal what has slumbered inside you. The day was unforgettable for me. The first time I walked the streets as a woman. Long had I desired it, but only experienced it in secret dreams. As soon as the opportunity arose, I swapped the forced masculine mask for my real face, that of a woman. Wonderful elegance. Inconspicuous elegance. One last hesitation came over me as I crossed the threshold of the house. But my friend's reassurance drove it away. Oh, how happy I was! How the rhythm of the feminine walk flew through my lips. It was a blessing to take off the mask for once and present myself to human eyes. No falling elegance. tried to speak, I sent a warm glow. Gentlemen's eyes looking for mine. With desire not allowed to satisfy. With desire not allowed to satisfy. Let the evening fade away with girl talk. Woman to woman, streams of femininity. Streams of femininity flowed through me. Falling elegance, inconspicuous elegance. I arrived home and thought back on the night for many hours. Sometimes I still walk the streets as a woman, but it hasn't been as blissful as that first day. Reveal the slumber inside you.
Thank you, Lisa and Adam. You will want to talk with Lisa and Adam after the service, I'm sure, anyway, but that is a song from a show called The Third Sex that Adam has been painstakingly putting together. I will not belabor it right now and give you all the details, but that is an invitation to ask Adam and Lisa about it because you want to experience this piece. And now is our invitation to our favorite Judson non-binary activity, communion. So those who are joining us online, grab something to eat, grab something to drink if you would like to. If you are sitting at a table physically here and you want to participate in this act of communion, here are some things that I want to tell you. If you have ever felt turned away from a table like this one, take communion here. If you have ever felt like this is not a place for you, please feel very, very welcome. If you need to queer this practice into something that works for you, it can survive it. Do what you need to do. But do as you see people doing right around you right now. Make sure that everyone has something to eat if they want it, something to drink if they want it. Remember, the purple liquid is wine, the yellow liquid is juice. I will pull us back together in one moment. All right, folks. Does everyone have what they need? All right. So, on the night that we remember in a ritual like this one, I always feel like we have to be honest. We know what the Gospels tell us what was said around that table, but we don't honestly know. It's been passed down through so many different people, so many different agendas. But, as we like to say here, use the story well. So maybe what happened in that moment was that they'd been having a blast. They'd been singing, they'd been eating, but they knew that joy and hope and love and creativity and the queerness that they were leaning into is something that empire cannot stand for too long. So Jesus knew that empire was coming for him. So at the end of the meal, he lifted up a loaf of bread and he took it and he broke it. And he might have said something like, "Take and eat this bread that has been broken for you, as my body will soon be broken." But we know that Jesus' body was not the last body to be broken. So as we eat together and remember that night, may we remember our commitment to making sure that no more bodies are broken. Let's eat together. And in the same way, Jesus lifted up a cup, and he might have said something like, "This cup might look like some normal cup, but it's non-binary. It's a cup of present violence and blood, but it's also a cup of possibility, a kingdom in which we can live where no more bodies are broken, where no more blood is spilled." So as we recommit to that together, let's drink together. And as you allow that bread, that drink to nourish your body, let's nourish our souls by singing a song by one of our beloved kin. Let's sing Lee Gilliatt's communion song together. Would you please rise in body and or spirit? If you come around Judson frequently, you're probably sort of like, where's the offertory? Don't worry. Those baskets are coming around right now. If you have a gift, cash, check that you would like to give, that you are able to give. No gift is too small. No gift is too large. There are also multiple ways that you can give online that are listed in the bulletin. Please, please give as you are able and know that it is deeply appreciated. But we're going to sing now as the offertory baskets go around. But hear this benediction as we sing for the beauty of the earth. This service might be ending, but our service in the world continues. Remember the intersectionalities of all of our fights, and do not let empire convince you that we are not always aligned and intersected. That is what Mary Magdalene would do. That is what that cutoff sentence is inviting us toward. So lean into every piece of humanness and divinity that you are called to be in the world, and I can't wait to keep leaning in with you. Amen.
Communities, our online community and our community here come together more fully. We are able to see people on the screen. Hi, everybody. Hey, TJ. This is also our time when we celebrate and we bring forward any announcements, any celebrations, or any concerns that we have. We're going to ask people who have things here in the sanctuary, in the meeting room, to go to either side and then approach the pulpit. The pulpit opens up, beloved. Be mindful of how we are all connected. Be mindful of that when you're making your announcement, how you are connected to the next person. However long you talk means someone else can't talk as long as they need to. We're all together. Let's be mindful of time.